to Sports Talk Radio.
With the first pick in the 2016 NFL Draft, the Los Angeles Rams select Jared Goff, quarterback, California.
We are here for you, WRPR Rat Pack Radio. Come join the pack. Download the WRP Rat Pack Radio app on Google Play, BlackBerry, and the Apple Store. If you're streaming, you can stream us on TuneIn.com, Web Radio Central, or RatPackSports.com/Rat Pack Radio.
Hello, sports fans, and welcome to...
You're listening to the Rat Pack Sports Show live on Rat Pack Radio, WRPR.
It's new, it's fresh, it's a slam dunk!
The Underground, discovering hidden talent worldwide. Playing daily on Rat Pack Radio, WRPR. Come join the pack.
You're listening to Rat Pack Sports Show on WRPR Rat Pack Radio.
Blue, you're my boy! A genius. A man who has a reputation to be the best at what he does.
You see, a man has to realize his limitations. You don't know me, and you don't know what I'm capable of.
That was a heck of an effort.
This house is a prison, and the galaxy of this sucks.
You're free enough.
This battle is over when I say it is over. I will massacre you.
Come after me. I'm a man. I'm 40.
Are you not entertained?
I'd say in a given week, I probably only do about 15 minutes of real, actual work.
That's how I roll. Offensive fire!
Hello? You play to win the game.
There's the drive! Way back! It might be! It could be!
This is my favorite part coming up right now.
We are back. We are live Sunday night. Live Rat Pack Radio, WRPR. Streaming online, ratpacksports.com, and also the Rat Pack Radio WRPR app. We're in the building for another week. Bring you the best edge of sports talk and entertainment. And on Sunday night, and got a lot of NFL. We're going to spend today talking preseason recap and predictions on the regular season. So appreciate everybody for tuning in. And we're going to get William Graves here on the line. Boss House Sean Naylor should be joining us soon, and maybe an appearance from Nicky Buckets, Nicholas Lane. So we're gonna have a good show. But to get things started, we've capped off, the end of the preseason, and at the end of the day, it's really a dress rehearsal for the younger players, the inexperienced players, players that need more seasoning, more film, more tape, auditioning for guys that may not make the team that they're currently on, but may find a home, somewhere else on a different roster. So, from a Buck standpoint, we are, getting ready to go into the season with Baker Mayfield as the quarterback. And that's about all I can say about that. I've been very vocal in the Rat Pack Sports Show group. I've been vocal in other sports groups about, my feelings, how I felt about Baker Mayfield being the starting quarterback. The franchise itself is probably taking a little bit of a hit because we were all told that this would be a quarterback competition. And it wasn't a quarterback competition. It was a sound good, but the way that this coaching staff went about this camp, this offseason, this camp, you can't come back and say, it was an open, competition. Because if it was truly an open competition, then I'm not sure if you still get the same starting quarterback. A few days before the announcement was made, we had a preseason game where the third string guy got hurt. And Baker Mayfield was on the sidelines, and he put Kyle Trask back in. Well, when they asked about not putting Baker in, his excuse was, Kyle Trask was warmed up, and so we decided to just stay with Kyle Trask. When if it's a true quarterback competition, you would have had Baker and Kyle Trask playing in week 2 of the preseason. So that was a dead giveaway. For me. I mean, my reports, everything that I have read leading up to the show, leading up to the preseason, leading up to preseason games, training camp, was very positive on Kyle Trask. When we got into camp, reports was coming out. Kyle Trask was doing well, commanding the huddle well, throwing the ball well, and showing nice touch on the football, and looked really well. Looked really good. The reports coming out on Baker was this guy's throwing a lot of interceptions, and there was some things that Trask was doing better than Baker on the practice field. So now we got Baker Mayfield, and I know why. We got Baker Mayfield as the starting quarterback. Here's why. We got a rookie offensive coordinator in Canales, who's never called an offense before. As his first season as an offensive coordinator. You got a defensive-minded head coach that don't like to take risk. And along with that, they're going to put trust in the veteran players. Even though you may have younger players behind those veterans that may be better, they're going to always fall back on the veteran guy. Now, from a management standpoint, we've been told from our ownership, from our GMs, front office people, that this team currently is not in a rebuild. That this team is going to compete for something. I don't know what that is. I couldn't tell you. Because we are, in fact, in a rebuild. We are, in fact, at a point where we have to sit down and reassess what we're doing as a franchise, and we have to reassess where we want to move forward. See, a lot of things with this organization in the Brady era was covered up. When you got a quarterback as good as Tom Brady, a lot of things can be, covered up because Brady can do that. His play, his leadership, his locker room presence, takes you to another level. And a lot of things can get covered up. Defensively, a lot of things can get covered up by a guy that's not going to turn the ball over at an alarming rate. He's going to play more of a ball control offense and keep the defense fresh. That way, they're not on the field as long, so their faults don't get exposed. Offensively, yeah, you can not have a running game, a top 15 running game, and get away with it because of Tom Brady. You cannot have a solid offensive line and get away with it because of Tom Brady. Tom Brady ain't here no more. Offensive line troubles is going to be troublesome. Now, Ryan Jensen, for everything that has been said for Ryan Jensen, I believe, dude, been done. I'm one of the few that's been on record I'm not bashing Ryan Jensen. I'm not, talking down on this man. All I've been saying the whole time was we had a guy step in last season after Ryan Jensen went down, and he did a pretty good job. I'm good enough to where if you go and you look at his numbers from a Pro Football Focus standpoint, he graded out nearly identical as Ryan Jensen did his best year since he been in Tampa. So I've always been on record to say, let's just move on, because I didn't think Ryan Jensen was coming back. I got some inside information on his particular injury and some of the stuff that was going on behind the scenes. I won't discuss that, but just know this. I've known for quite a long time that this situation was going to end this way. All you got to really do is just look at everything that's going on. He got hurt last training camp. He missed the whole season. Didn't have a surgery. They never put him on IR. So from a sports standpoint, I'm thinking, okay, so he's trying to come back because surgery would have ended his season. Okay, he's trying to come back. All right, so we get to the playoffs, start talking about Ryan Jensen possibly returning. I'm on record as saying you can bring Ryan Jensen back. It doesn't matter if Hainsey is not also still in that starting lineup, because you didn't get better or worse with Hainsey than you did when you had Jensen in the lineup. So Hainsey could play, multiple positions. So if you was to bring Ryan Jensen back from the playoffs, I would move Hainsey to one of the guard positions. And that way your offensive line got a little bit stronger. You got a little bit better. But that never happened. So he gets to the playoffs. Everybody's making a big deal. Like, Ryan Jensen is going to make a difference. I told you he wasn't going to. I said he wasn't going to make a difference because he wasn't an upgrade over what was coming out. Now, you can say, oh, well, he's the heart and soul, or, he's this tough guy or whatnot. Man, listen, none of that wins football games. It's about production. It's about just doing your job against the man in front of you. The tough guy stuff, this old saying, oh, he plays with a lot of heart. All these dudes, 99% of these players play with heart. They're not out there laying down. So I don't buy that argument from a lot of people when they say, well, he's one of our hardest workers, or he plays with his emotions on his sleeves and all this and that. Listen, you can't play football laying down. So a lot of these dudes out here playing hard, a lot of these dudes putting in work, they just not vocal. And sometimes vocal people in the sports from a sports standpoint could get this notion of this, this leader or this warrior, when they just talking. You go look at the tape, they ain't doing much. They doing a lot of talking, and it make it seem like they doing more than what they actually is. So I've never really liked Ryan Jensen as much as a lot of other people did, because when he got here, we made him the highest paid center, in football, and he never performed like the highest paid center at that time. Now he's not anymore, but at that time, I didn't see best center in the league play out of him. We could never run the football with him. So all my thing was last season was he could come back and it won't make a bit of a difference. It's not really about him, opposed to it's you Jensen and Hainsey pretty much cancel each other out. So there's no big time upgrade when that situation happened, and we saw what happened. Same thing that happened the whole season. Just inconsistent offensive play, terrible play calling, whatever you want to call it. That's what it was. So that's what happened. Jensen decided to step down. Jensen is being put on IR. But personally, before I go to my man William Graves, who's waiting on the line, this is my assumption. I don't have no inside sources on this information. This is my opinion on what I think is happening with this Ryan Jensen situation. The Bucs are saying, Ryan Jensen, we appreciate you for everything you gave us on the field to this organization, and instead of releasing you, we're going to honor your contract, and we're going to keep you on this team. We're going to put you on IR so you can continue to get paid. And thanks for everything. They knew coming into this training camp and the season he wasn't playing. I don't care what anybody say. They all knew it. They all knew it. Because he opted not to have surgery. So we knew I knew what was going on with that situation before I was told what was going on with that situation. He opted to do stem cell treatment, PRP, and instead of doing surgery, conventional surgery, he went the regenerative way of seeing if he could heal. It didn't go the way he wanted it, because he missed all last season, played one, came back trained for a couple weeks, came back for one game, and then since then he's been MIA. He hasn't practiced at all. It's been hush-hush on the situation from the brass over at $1. And he didn't practice didn't play any preseason games, didn't practice at all during training camp. They knew. They knew it was coming to this. And that is, I don't have a problem with it. But for the fans who thought that Jensen was returning, you just wasn't paying attention to what was not being said. A lot of times in sports or whatever the case may be, you can figure out the situation in sports like this by what's not being said, by just doing a little bit of cross thinking. So Jensen, as a Bucks fan, appreciate you, my man. It does take a lot, a lot of heart and dedication for you to, come back in the same season. You basically blew your knee up and still try to play and give it everything you got for that playoff run. But it just wasn't, in the cards. And from what I was told, had he had surgery, obviously his season would have been over with from the jump, and he wouldn't have been able to come back from the playoff game. But to me, his season was over anyway. Like, it was over anyway. Even if you try to come back for that playoff game, who's to say? Let's say the Bucks, hypothetically, let's say they won that first playoff game, and then the next week they moved on and he couldn't play because he was having problems with his knee. See, you know what I'm saying? Nobody knows if he would have even made it through a whole, playoff run. So my thing is just, he was done. He's been done. And normally we just, I'm going to say it because it's just the way it is. It's next man up. I wasn't expecting him to play this season, so I don't know why people is making a big deal that he's not going to be there. You should have not been expecting a guy that hasn't dressed one single day in the off season to just get up and play week one. You can't do that. It's not even, it's possible, but physically, it's not possible. So I was already moved on. I was already with the notion of we're going to have a noose, we're going to have somebody else playing center this season. But let me bring him on in because we got him on the line. Rat Pack Sports Show, Mr. William Graves. What's going on, man?
Just sitting here listening to you and everything. first and foremost, I love Ryan Jensen. Still do. Always been a big fan of his. Still a big fan of his. He brought a veteran presence to that offensive line. Was he the best center in the league? Maybe not the best, but he was a top center. However, with that being said, 1,000% agree with you, Debo. Because it's not because me and you actually talked about this exact thing. What was it? A few months ago?
Yeah.
And when he came back for that playoff game, I remember the conversation me and you had where I was like, doesn't it feel like that he probably shouldn't have come back? And you said, yeah. And everybody, like you said, made a big deal out of this. Yes, it was a big deal because of the veteran presence on that offensive line. That was the veteran presence with a veteran quarterback or a Pro Bowl quarterback, whatever you want to call it. In that case, I was like, all right, I get it. That is not the case anymore. Brady is gone. We, Bucs fans, regardless if they haven't said it, we're rebuilding. We're not retooling. We are rebuilding. We don't even have a clear-cut replacement as the starting quarterback. Yes, Baker Mayfield has been made the starter. And folks, look, you can ask anybody in the Rat Pack. I'm a big fan of Baker's. Always have been. Always seen his potential. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, go and look at the man's numbers. Okay? He has what it takes to be a starting quarterback, but here's the thing. He's got to be able to put it all together. And that is what I need to see from him. I need to see him to be able to put all this together. Now, well, what does Baker Mayfield have to do with Ryan Jensen? Not really anything, except for this is the time to move on to another center, which we have Robert Hansey, and we have Chris Murray, who we just drafted, I believe, this year out of the University of Oklahoma. Either one of those two guys, I think, can step up, and I think that they can, given the chance, I think they can improve and become a decent center for the Buccaneers. Are they going to be a Pro Bowl center or anything along those lines? I have no idea. But what I will say is now is the right time for us to move on and to actually get some sort of start to this rebuild to see what we got. And so, Derek, as far as it is concerned, yeah, I 100% agree with you. I think Ryan Jensen is done. I think the whole IR thing, like you said, is just kind of a thank you, so he can continue to collect those paychecks. But yeah, I'm with you. I think Ryan Jensen is done.
Yeah. I mean, that's basically, what I think myself. That's what they're doing, and I don't have a problem with that. Again, a lot of people was led to believe that Jensen was gonna play, but if you play football, you watch football long enough, people just don't come back and play. Week one after not doing any football related activities in the whole off season.
Yeah.
It just don't work like that.
Well, I mean, I think that what he can contribute to the Buccaneers and everything, and I think he might be game for it, is to kind of still be around the team and everything, and maybe try to help mentor and work with these younger guys that are coming up. I can definitely see him in a role like that. I mean, Debo, if he suited up again, I would be surprised. I really would. I don't see it. I think he is going to be that guy that is quote unquote on the sidelines, if he is around the team at all, and everything, and just kind of help coaching up these guys or whatever, because regardless of if he's on the field or not, that is still a veteran presence to a pretty good center in his time. And like we said, his time has passed, but he still has a lot of knowledge. He still has almost a leadership quality about him and everything that I think can benefit this younger offensive line, even though he's not on the field, because he's not going back on the field. I really don't see it.
No. I just just too many things working against him, and for him to be out of football pretty much a whole year, and the progress is really not going the way you want it to go. And from hearing about the type of damage that he had, well, again, this stuff just not coming out. I knew a lot of this stuff 6 months ago. Being somebody that had a similar injury, playing football, where I tore two of the four major ligaments, and then also had cartilage damage, also had nerve damage. And seeing the way he went down, listen, he made a miraculous effort to play in one game, but season he still was done.
Yeah, even in that one game, Debo, you could tell he was not 100%.
Yeah, I mean, he still was done, and furthermore, what's going on now proves that he probably shouldn't have played in that playoff game. I'm not saying if you don't play him and you play Hainsey that something's gonna change, but you're playing a guy that's playing at like maybe 60%, 70%.
I was going to say that his top would have been 70%, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But look, Let me ask you something, Derek, because you kind of brought it up that you had a similar injury. How long after that injury did it take you to feel like you were 100%?
Normally, once you had a surgery, you go through the rehabs. You play that first season. Just the first season back is just getting feedback wet. Getting the confidence right. You never really at your back to your true self until that next year. Once you went through a whole season, you see how the knee is reacting. It's back in that football mode, and okay, now you're confident again. Okay, I'm ready. So the year after, you usually see guys bounce back to their normal selves in year 2. So like Godwin, he'll probably be a lot better physically this year than he was at any point, last season, because this is the year after the return. So, for Jensen, like this thing with the regenerative restoration type of procedures that like Jensen had, the rehab process is still, the timeline the timeline is still around the same. You may shave off a month, maybe 2, because they don't cut you open, but the regenerative process is still a long, drawn out, rehab. And in Jensen's situation, he's went through that process. Now, the stuff that I'm hearing that is still, going on within the knee, all the damage he had, and what's currently happening, he's not coming back. And I know some fans are saying, hopefully he can come back. Listen, I'm not hoping he come back. What I'm hoping is he could just be able to get around normal in retirement.
Well, so let me ask you something, man.
Yeah.
What does he have left to prove?
Nothing.
Exactly. So
listen,
why?
I don't even know why. Personally, I don't even know why he came back last season. Because what are you trying to prove?
Well, I think maybe he thought that with this being Brady's one last season, that maybe they could ride off into the sunset as Super Bowl champions again. I mean, with Brady at QB, there was always a chance.
Yeah.
Okay. So with that being said, all right, I get it. I really do. I get why he did try to come back. But now this isn't that. This isn't that team. We still have a lot of pieces in place, like me and you have talked about, but we're not. In my opinion, we're not there. We're not going to be that same team that we have been before, or that we were under Brady. And I don't expect us to be that, because like that's not what any of us should even try to look for and everything. But with that being said, let me ask you something. What are you looking for in Tampa this year?
Well, what I'm looking at, looking for is just a team that shows some progress, and competes. And looking at a roster, or a team that is well coached and prepared week after week. The discipline has to be where it needs to be at for a team to be considered a contender, or a team that's going to compete in the future. These things have to be in place today. Your coaching staff has to be on point today, because here's the thing: if it don't go well this year, listen, I'm not making any rumors. I'm not saying anything, but what I'm saying is, you starting Baker, so obviously you feel like with Baker Mayfield, we got a chance to win more than we do with Kyle Trask under center. So the notion of we're rebuilding and working towards being back at that, Super Bowl level in a couple years from now, that's thrown out the window. You just threw that redevelopment year out of the window. The rope, you just took the slack out of the rope. You don't have any more slack. So if Baker falls on his face, and it doesn't go well, and you end up with having to play Trask and benching Baker, and if Baker gets in there after you started him in front of Trask, if Trask gets in there and he plays well, we may be seeing a coaching change here, because if you couldn't make this a decision as easy as deciding which quarterback gives you the best chance to win, a guy that's only been in your system for 6 months, 4 to 6 months, opposed to a guy who's been in your face for the last 3 years, now going on 3 years. You watch this guy every day, work with the quarterback's coach, work with the offensive coordinator, working, developing, getting his game, being in the classroom, you know what I'm saying, doing that work. And it was so easy for you to just say, that don't matter. Let me go and get somebody else. If that person don't work out and you lose a season because of it, you making decisions that shows a desperation move, so to speak. Like, I forget what team it was. They came out, announced to their fan base that they were starting over. They were going to gut the team. They were going to rebuild through the draft. They was going to develop their players, and they told their fan base, just be patient with us while we go through this. It's going to be ugly at times. It's going to be, hard to watch at times, but just trust us in this process while we reform this organization into being a long-term winner. I forget which team was it. Maybe Detroit, maybe. But it was an NFL team that did this. They sent the notice out to their fans explaining this process. And now they're the rebuilding process is done, and they're doing some good stuff. But that's all the Bucs had to do. Like, okay, we just got a Super Bowl 2 years ago. Nothing's gonna be wrong with telling your fans that, hey, we're in a little bit of a rebuild to guarantee long-term success. You can't keep doing things the way that we've been doing stuff the last few years and expect to have long-term success. Patchwork offensive line, quarterback position in limbo. I thought the quarterback position was taken care of when they announced the plan to draft Trask and do what they did behind Brady. But again, change of plans. You got to be a lot better defensively. You got to be a lot better rushing the passer. You got to get rid of the worst middle linebacker in football. Because even though it was a preseason game, the starters played for a little bit. And that little bit time that the starters was in, I ain't even watched the game. Because I wasn't able to watch the game. I just went and read the comments. In particular, in some of the groups that I'm in, of people that I respect their football IQ. And from everything that they were saying, that middle linebacker that we got pushed around once again. So,
well, again, this is the thing, and and I'm going to keep saying this until I'm blue in the face. Devin White is not the right middle linebacker for us. He's not. He is playing out of, I almost want to say out of position. And this is the thing that I think that people just completely miss is that these highlight reels of him at LSU, even the highlight reels of that Super Bowl winning season, there's a lot of difference in those highlight reels in those seasons that he played in, where yes, when he is given the opportunity to do what he does best, he is unstoppable. He really can't be matched up with.
Yeah.
But here is the thing. This is not those teams. Last year, that was not those teams that he excels in. Okay? He excels in being that free guy that can zip in there and he can grab the tackle, he can get the sack. Okay, that is what he does. Okay, that is who Devin White is. This team, we don't have the defense for him to be able to do that. He has almost got to change the way he plays, and he's got to change from the formula that made him who he is. And you can't expect somebody like that to be able to do that. And yeah, look, I have no problems with Devin White. I actually like him. I like him a lot. But there has to be a reality check somewhere. And the reality is that with the defense that we're running, he's not going to be able to excel. He's not going to excel in this defense or anything that we have ran, because they need him to do something that he's not accustomed to doing. And when you're not accustomed to it, that's where you start falling. That's when you start making mistakes. And so, yeah, you know what? As much as I hate to say this, because I do like Devin White, if the Bucks came on, if it came on ESPN or the NFL Network tomorrow that the Bucks traded Devin White for a whole slew of draft picks, like, I don't know, a second or third round draft pick, maybe fourth in a fourth, fifth, or sixth round to go with it.
Yeah.
I'll be honest with you, Debo. I wouldn't be mad. I really would not. And the reason why is because that shows me two things. One, they realize that Devin White is not going to be able to excel in this defense. Number two, it shows me that they're committed to actually making this team right and getting the right personnel in. But again, that's just me.
Yeah. And then there's reports swirling, and I'm gonna say reports because I have no way of confirming, but there was some type of meeting that happened between Devin White and Bucks management, and after that meeting was when White came out requesting he be traded. But we already know what the meeting was about. He wanted more money. He want to be paid like a top linebacker. So here we go. For the next 5 minutes, I'm finna give you what a top linebacker should look like, especially a middle linebacker in a 3-4 defense. Okay, so middle linebacker versus in a 4-2 versus a 4-3. From a run fit standpoint, your job is the same. Stop the run. Stay in your gap. Stop the run. Well, he may be one of the leaders in the NFL in tackles over the last 4 years. But he's also one of the leaders in the NFL in missed tackles. And yeah, he has speed. So he's not thumping people in the middle of the hole. He's chasing players down. Ray Lewis in the 3-4, he should, if he wants $20 million a year, he needs to play like Ray Lewis. I'll give you another 3-4 linebacker. Old Pittsburgh Steeler. Anybody remember Levon Kirkland? He needs to be that dude. He needs to be Luke Kuechly. He needs to be Fred Warner for the 49ers. You want 20, you got to be better than him. Because to me, I think he's the best middle linebacker in football. You gotta cause heck, you gotta cause chaos. If you can't make the play, you gotta pile it up so your teammates can make the play. It's not always about Devin White. If you can't make the tackle, hey, do your job. Like Bill Belichick say, do your job. And your job is to clog this hole. So even if you can't make the tackle, your job is to clog that hole and push that running back out to somebody else. You know, when I played, one of my brothers, this guy, I've been friends with this guy since we was in middle school. One of the slowest guys I ever seen. But one of the fastest, instinctive, natural reactions people that I ever seen. You ever seen somebody slow and when you get on the football field, every time there's a tackle made, you see this same person getting out of the pile? It don't matter where this player is at on the field. You see this guy getting off the pile every single time. Instincts. So my dog, I asked him one day, I say, man, listen, I know you not fast. Everybody know you not fast. But how you end up on every play? He said, man, instincts. Everywhere the ball was, he was there. Everywhere. In the backfield, at the line of scrimmage, 10 yards downfield, 15 yards downfield. His instincts was so good in anticipating what was going to happen. That comes with classroom work. But he told me this. He said, bro, listen, if I can't make the tackle, I'm just going in and I'm just blowing up the lead blocker. Because if I can blow up the lead blocker, then that running back ain't got nowhere to go. When I start seeing, when you playing middle linebacker, that's your job. You may not be able to make the tackle, but you got to blow that hole up. You got to lay that lead blocker out. So once you lay him out, your teammates can clean up. It's not always about the tackle. You know, I've seen some games where this guy looks like he's checked out. Literally a couple years ago, this man on camera said, I get bored sometimes. Bro, I've never been a player in my life when I was on the football field where I got bored. Ain't no leader ever gonna say nothing like that. Ever. Derrick Brooks, Hardy Nickerson, John Lynch, Rondé Barber, Warren Sapp, Simeon Rice. I could go down the list. Boogie McFarland, Steve White, Styles White. We could go down the list. Every great player, Brian Kelly, Donnie Abraham. I could keep going. I have never heard any player on my Buccaneers team say, especially a defensive player, oh, I get bored sometimes when I'm on the field. And this a guy that everybody think is one of the best players at his position in the league that gets bored at times? Come on, man. That alone told me that this dude is not a leader. He's all flash and dash. He's going to flash. He's going to make some plays. But when my middle linebacker is known more for his pass rushing ability opposed to his blowing plays up at the line of scrimmage, tackling ability, you're not a true middle linebacker, buddy. Especially in the 3-4. Go play outside rush if you want to rush the passer. Go play outside rush. But if you want to make tackles and you want to be an impact and you want to be a part of a defense that's stout against stopping the run, you got work to do. Because, again, I ain't afraid to say it. You're one of the worst middle linebackers in the league, period. I've seen enough, and anybody that's been listening to this show knows. William know, Boss Hogg know, Nicholas Lane know. I've told every single last one of these dudes for the last 4 years. I called this man out his rookie year for what he was. People don't like it, but I say Barrett Ruud 2.0. But here's the difference. Barrett Ruud in pass coverage was exceptional. But Barrett Ruud racked up a lot of tackles, chasing plays down. Not at the line of scrimmage. He was too small. Barrett Ruud didn't have the thump that I like looking for from middle linebackers. I need that thump. Devin White isn't a thumper. He's a athletic middle linebacker that tries to rely too much on his agility and his quickness to jump and move around blocks, while in the meantime, you just taking yourself out of the play every single time. Every time. And you can't share blocks. You let linemen pick you up and carry you 20 yards downfield. Girl, you're not a middle linebacker in this defense. One last thing. Lavonte David is a true weak side linebacker. That's what he's played all the way through college, all the way through his professional career. Weak side linebacker. In this 3-4 defense, guess where Lavonte David is playing? In the middle, right next to Devin White. Guess who's still 10 plus years in the league, still considered one of the top 10, 5 or 10 best defensive players in football? Lavonte David. Last season, he was in the top 5 for linebacker play.
Mm-hmm.
Playing out of position. So I don't want to hear no excuses. Good players make plays. That's my rant.
Well, so let me ask you something, man. Is it almost fair to say that Devin White is a situational player?
Yeah, I would say that's probably correct. I would say that's probably correct.
Because, like, when you go through and you analyze and you look at everything that he has done, and you look at the times that he has excelled, where it's like, wow, that's a really good play. It's only been in certain situations. So, like, to me, like, I mean, I'm just calling it as I see it, and it's almost like he's a situational or schematic linebacker. So if that's the case, there's nothing wrong with that. But isn't it about time that we acknowledge it? Isn't it about time that the coaching staff acknowledges it? That he is only good in certain situations?
Yeah.
So my question is when is the coaching staff actually going to do this?
Yeah, who knows?
Like I said, man, I'm trying to be as realistic as possible about this Devin White situation. And I mean, maybe that's what the top brass told him during that meeting, that, hey, look, this is the situation. And if Devin White doesn't like it, well, then that's on Devin White. But I mean, yeah, like I said, I really need us to stop drafting players and putting them into other positions than what they have played.
Yeah.
I mean, Carlton Davis is another one that when we drafted him for a reason, and then they totally went in an opposite direction with him, and I'm like, why? Why did you do that? So,
Yeah.
I mean, that's just my rant.
Yeah, so I mean, at the end of the day, I believe you when you come down to like paying guys money, you got to really, do your work, do your due diligence in understanding where this player is at compared to his peers around the league. Here's the sad part. We've been on Devin White for a while about his play. We've also know as Bucs fans, the one guy on this roster who's the most underrated player. He's been one of the most underrated players in the NFL from day
I'm
one.
waiting for this.
Was Lavonte David.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
We know for a fact that Lavonte David numbers stack up against another linebacker that everybody praised as, and he's a great linebacker. We're not taking anything away from, Luke Kuechly. Luke Kuechly was an animal in the middle for Carolina, running against the run versus the pass, sniffing out plays, just knowing his stuff. But Lavonte David has been
hate when the Bucs play Carolina.
Yeah, Lavonte David was just as good, if not better, in some seasons, and never got the credit at all.
Well, no.
And now when they come out with this top 100, you got Devin White on the list, but no Lavonte David?
Yep. I was wondering if you were going to notice that.
No, look, I mean, Levante David wasn't even on the list. Wasn't on the list.
Yeah, I know.
But you got Devin White on the list.
What's the word? Sacrilege? That's the word, sacrilege?
Yeah.
Yep. You just hit the nail on the head, Boss Hog. You really did.
Boss Hog, that's left field correspondent, man.
Sir. Boss Hog is still warming up.
Yeah, Boss Hog is still warming up.
Oh shoot, that's CC. Oops.
Right, yeah, oops.
My bad, Carlton. You had a little bit of that Boss Hog draw there for a second. My bad.
Boss Hog voice not that deep.
You're not wrong, Carlton. So let me ask you guys this.